What I'm about to say is not going to sit well with a lot of people. Isreal Adesanya is the most overrated fighter in UFC history. I think that Adesanya lost his last fight not because he got caught. It's because he's at a significant skill disadvantage when he fights the upper echelon of strikers in the UFC. He's not skilled enough to beat a guy like Alex Pereira. And on top of that, this is not a 1A and 1B situation where the best strikers in the universe are going to collide and the world's going to stop and everyone's going to watch the mastery take place before our eyes. No, it's the best striker in the UFC, arguably the best kickboxer ever in Alex Pereira, versus a guy that has arguably only won 3 out of his last 7 fights. And that's why I say this guy isn't skilled enough to hang with Alex Pereira, and people do not look at that fight in the UFC correctly. Everyone says, or at least a lot of people, everyone says that Adesanya dominated most of the fight, was winning until he got caught. That's just not what I saw. What I saw was a guy getting methodically beat down, out kickboxed, outdone to the body, outdone to the legs, and bullied all the way up until the 5th round, in which he ultimately got lit up for 2 straight minutes. All right, he didn't get caught. He got lit up the entire 5th round. What I saw in their last fight was Adesanya with a clean state of mind, not thinking about that KO loss that he had way back in 2017. I saw a confident man in there, trying to take Pereira out. And by the end of that fight, that same guy resorted to survival mode. He was just trying to get to the final bell. And why? Because he got out kickboxed. His body started to break down the longer that fight lasted, and this was proven by a graphic that popped up in the 5th round, right before the finishing sequence. I don't know if you guys remember, I've watched this sequence so many times. There was a significant strikes graphic that popped up showing the strikes to the head, body, and legs. 62 strikes to the head for Adesanya, 39 for Alex Pereira, right? 48 strikes to the body for Alex Pereira, only 16 for Isreal Adesanya, 45 leg kicks for Pereira, 32 for Isreal Adesanya. This man got outdone at his A game. And when you take away his A game, what he resorts to is the hands. Trying to throw that right hand, trying to jab with you. And when his plan B doesn't work, which is throwing the hands, he resorts to grappling, in which he had like 8 or 9 takedowns stuffed by Alex Pereira. People act like Adesanya didn't try to take him down until that 3rd round. No, basically every time those two were in a clinch, Adesanya would try to take Pereira down and Pereira wouldn't budge. So I do not think that Adesanya can outkick Alex Pereira. I don't think he can go in there and outdo him in that area. And therefore, when you take away that A game, he's fucked. We saw Jan Blachowicz do the same thing. I think that Jan Blachowicz is a top 5 striker in the UFC. I cannot say the same for Adesanya. And when you saw them fight, after that 1st round, I don't think Adesanya landed a single solid leg kick on Jan Blachowicz in the 1st round that wasn't checked. And what did he do in the 2nd round? He was trying to throw hands on Jan Blachowicz. Couldn't touch the man. Couldn't touch him. Could not even graze him. You're looking at Adesanya. You're seeing him confident. You're seeing him feint every now and then, rub his hands together, tell everyone to chill out. It looks way more impressive than it actually is. Because when he's standing there with a guy that actually is high level, that shit goes right out the window. Jan Blachowicz doesn't telegraph. Jan Blachowicz has some of the best leg kick defense in UFC history. And Alex Pereira does too, given all of his experience at a high level in Glory. This guy was a 6-time defending champion at middleweight in Glory, knocking people dead. And that's why he can go toe-to-toe with Adesanya and check his leg kicks. And Adesanya, when he fights guys like Cannonier or Paulo Costa or mediocre Marvin Vettori, some of the worst middleweights that are ranked high, he's able to just sit out at range and fuck these guys up with his leg kicks. He can't do that to guys like Jan. He can't do that to guys like Pereira. And when he opens up with his hands, he's not well versed in that area either. If you have a guy like a young Robert Whittaker blitzing forward, of course, Adesanya's going to wing his hooks and catch you. He can't do that to guys like Pereira, to guys like Jan that aren't offering their chins on silver platters. This guy's best win, guys, in his last 7 years is against the bum Paulo Costa, who doesn't even have a single win over anyone that's currently in the UFC. Every single one of his finishes comes in the 1st or 2nd round. He finished Whittaker in the 2nd round in their first fight. He finished Brunson in the first round. He finished Wilkinson in the second round. All of his finishes, 4 in the UFC in total, are in the first 2 rounds. Adesanya resorts to cruise mode when he realizes he can't get the finish. And if he cannot finish Alex Pereira in the first 2 rounds, the same thing is going to happen. He's going to resort to cruise mode. And he's fucked in cruise mode because, again, he continues to go to his plan A. He'll get his leg kicks checked. He goes to plan B. He gets out boxed. He gets out jabbed. And everything that Alex Pereira throws is harder and more impactful. Pereira will throw a hard jab to the body or a hard jab to the head of Adesanya. And you can tell the power behind it means a lot. And that, towards the end of the fight, starts to accumulate. And it makes Adesanya an easier target. It slows him down. It makes him a bit of a more stationary guy that's not moving around as quickly. And his grappling skills aren't good enough to be able to just take Pereira down to where he's at his weakest. Sure, he had a lot of success in that fight, but again, this guy has a skill set. And it's not getting that much better at this point in his career. Adesanya's whole game was built to be able to go out there, defend takedowns, and keep fights standing on the feet. His game throughout his MMA career has not been tailored towards strike and shoot offensively. Adesanya never, ever thought about taking people down before Pereira got back into his face, right? That's just not what's been going on. So all of a sudden, in the last year, Adesanya is going to be able to become an offensive wrestler. I don't see it at all. This guy's game is built for stuffing takedowns and keeping fights on the feet. And when he fights people on the feet, the reason I say he's overrated is because, goddamn, he can barely scrape by some of these motherfuckers, man. You're barely scraping by Marvin Vettori. You're barely scraping by Jared Cannonier. Again, man, if you're not out here really putting a statement on these low-level middleweight strikers, like Jared Cannonier, let's be real, that dude is a striker. Robert Whittaker's dusting these guys off of the shoulder, making them look like they shouldn't even be able to sniff his jockstrap. Right? Look at how Robert Whittaker fought Yoel Romero. Got in his face and fucked him up for all 23 minutes of both of their fights. Adesanya fights Yoel Romero. He's running around the octagon like a chicken without his head cut off. And that's basically a fight on the feet. You have the best striker of all time, the fucking last airbender, running around the octagon, dancing like a little girl playing tennis against Yoel, chipping him with leg kicks 100 miles away. Again, when Adesanya doesn't finish people in the first 2 rounds of his fights, he goes at cruise mode, and cruise mode isn't that impressive. And it's no longer this dude just gets bored in his fights. No, this is his skill set. This is what it is. The tape has been out there for a long enough time. He's not getting any better. And I said in my original prediction video, way back in November, I said that Adesanya had gotten worse. His kickboxing skills had declined since joining the UFC. The longer he's been getting into grappling, defending takedowns, defensively wrestling, the worse he's got as a pure striker. And now he's taking on a guy that is only a year and a half, 2 years removed from fighting at the highest level in kickboxing. And you look at his fight with Jan Blachowicz, got out leg kicked. Got all of his leg kicks checked in the first round. He was not the same after that. And he got outboxed when he had to resort to his plan B because he's not that great of a boxer. He looks more labored with the way that he throws strikes than guys like Jan, than guys like Pereira. Pereira has no telegraph on his strikes. You wouldn't, if you just look at the upper body of Pereira, you don't even know if he's throwing a kick. You have to see his whole body to see him throw a kick. He doesn't move, bro. He just chucks it out there. Like his lower half of his body and his upper half of the body aren't even attached. And also, I just want to compare Adesanya's opponents to Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is in glory, fighting Artem Vakitov. If you guys don't know who that is, he's a fucking monster, all right? He doesn't look that scary physically, but look at this dude fight Pereira. He's right in his face, throwing combinations, blitzing him, trying to bully Pereira like the way Pereira bullies everyone else. I mean, this dude was really fighting monsters in glory at 205 pounds, standing with them, going toe-to-toe with them on a technical level. Meanwhile, Adesanya is out here fighting mediocre Marvin Vettori and Jared Cannonier, 2 guys that wouldn't even be ranked if they were fighting in any other division. Okay, at this point, it's obvious that Adesanya is slightly overrated, right? I broke his game down, but now I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to tell you guys where he's most dangerous, and I'm going to tell you guys how he can go out there and win this fight. Number 1, he's going to have to take risks, like he did in the first round of their last fight. He's going to have to go in there as if the knockout didn't happen, as if he's not 0 for 3 against this guy. And one thing that I love from Isreal Adesanya, and I will say this, he is a high-level kickboxer, And I know it because of this sequence right here. Adesanya has a different rhythm than 99% of the fighters that are throwing their strikes. And same with Alex Pereira. These really high-level strikers, they don't beat to the same drum. They do not have the same rhythm. It's not 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not that. And this is how I know that Adesanya is a really high-level kickboxer. And again, just because I think he's overrated doesn't mean he's not high-level. He is high-level. He threw the jab, waits a split second, pulls back, throws the right hand, rocks Pereira, sees that he's rocked. And then he wants to throw a hook, but he's going to hide that. He's going to try to set it up. He fakes an uppercut, gets Pereira thinking about the uppercut, and then follows up with a left hook, which is able to really wobble Pereira. Now, he lands that left hook when the bell is done, when the bell goes off. But either way, man, I actually think that he needs to kind of bait him into the fence, if anything. He needs to make Pereira think that he's backing him down. And I know that's a really dangerous place for Adesanya to be, but here's the thing. I believe that Adesanya's speed with that right hand is good enough to catch Pereira off guard in the first 2 rounds. And I believe that, again, he has this offbeat style of striking that only the guys at the top have. And he can use that to rock Alex Pereira. I think that Adesanya can finish Alex Pereira. I think he's capable of doing that. Not only because he's just capable of finishing anyone if he has the right moment, I also just think that Alex Pereira has a lot of wear and tear on him from the weight cuts. This guy is massively deteriorating his chin. I mean, I think that he weighed in his last fight with Adesanya 5 minutes before the cutoff. So you really know that he was taking all the time necessary to be able to drain himself for those last few pounds. And that is something that Adesanya can expose early on. Again, I think that right hand is his best weapon against Alex Pereira. I don't think that he's going to be able to catch Alex Pereira with those crazy hooks that he was able to catch Robert Whittaker with. I think that Pereira can see those coming a mile away. I don't think that Adesanya is going to be able to land a head kick or anything like that. It needs to be with the right hand, and he needs to follow up with a good combination and hide it behind some of those feints. Ultimately, guys, I think Adesanya needs a KO. And I know he was up 3 rounds to 1, but the fight isn't as simple as it was 3 rounds to 1. Again, he was getting slowly bullied and beat down, and he was a sitting duck at the end of that fight. And I think he's going to have to resort to the B game because he can't outkick Alex Pereira. He can't set out at range with the guy that's going to get right in his face, who has the same reach, the height, and more power. And I don't think that Adesanya can play his B game with Alex Pereira because Pereira is the better boxer. He has a better jab. He has a better hook. And he can set these things up. And that's why I think that Pereira is going to get it done by KO. I'm choosing Pereira by a 3rd round KO. And the way he sets that left hook up is beautiful. What he does is he runs you onto the jab. He runs you onto the right hand. And people are content to get hit by that right hand. And they're willing to eat it because they know that nuclear option is the only thing I really have to worry about. And eventually, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to try to dip your head off to the side to get away from that right hand or get away from the jab. And Pereira's going to snap the left hook into your jaw. We didn't really see Pereira land a stiff, hard left hand up until the 5th round. And eventually he set it up, and I think he's going to set it up quicker this time. I think he's going to go out there. He's going to break down the legs of Adesanya. He's going to check the leg kicks of Adesanya. If those two clinch up, he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns. He's going to throw knees to the body. He's going to throw uppercuts to the body, jabs to the body. He's going to wear Adesanya out as the bigger man, as the more experienced and more skilled kickboxer. And when Adesanya can't win at his A game, which is leg kicking you, he's going to resort to his plan B, and I do not think that he's good enough to trade with Pereira, especially when Pereira can kind of bully you up against the fence and mash you with the right hand and mash you with the jab. And sooner or later, you're going to get tired of getting hit by those straight shots, and you're going to dip your head off to the side to try to save yourself, to try to get out of the way of those strikes, and you're going to get smashed. Anything Adesanya can do, Pereira can do better. That's really the tale of this tape. But if Alex Pereira doesn't overexert himself, if he stays calm and stays relaxed, I don't think he should go out there and start swinging with Adesanya right away. I don't think he should go out there and chase a finish. I think he just needs to go out there, kickbox with Isreal Adesanya, stuff takedowns, and push him up against the fence, and eventually you'll find the knockout blow. And so my official prediction is the 3rd round knockout over Isreal Adesanya. I think it's going to be similar to the way Jan Blachowicz was able to knock out Luke Rockhold. I think that these guys are going to be in some kind of a clinch position. They're going to break from the clinch, and Pereira's going to land a left hook in the 3rd round when Isreal Adesanya is already a little bit more tired than he was early on, and he's in cruise mode. As I said, if Adesanya can't get a finish in the first 2 rounds, he resorts to cruise mode. His legs will already be deteriorated. His body will be feeling it. Alex Pereira will have already landed knees to the body, jabs to the body. He'll be more successful with his kicking game. And when Adesanya resorts to plan B, which is throwing the hands, he's not going to have success trading with Alex Pereira, who's got the nuclear option, who is so good and skilled at setting that left hook up. Once his legs are broken down, once he starts to slow down, he's really a sitting duck on the feet that's just, out there, and it's a matter of time before he gets put out cold. So if Adesanya grapples, look to that happening after the second round. And that's why I think it's going to come in a clinch position, guys, because after the second round, Adesanya is going to try to grapple more. He's going to try to clinch more. And that's where Adesanya is going to expend a lot of energy. And when he's breaking from the clinch, he's going to be drained a little bit, and he'll not have the reaction time to be able to evade the left hook. As far as grappling is concerned, I know that we have guys like Dan Hardy saying that Pereira is training with Glover Teixeira and he might be the one to offensively grapple. And he actually was able to take Adesanya down in the second round. A lot of people forget about that. He was able to land a takedown. And I would think that if he can get on top of Adesanya, I think he could generate some power on top. But I think that would be a really stupid move from him. That would be a dumb move. In the same way, I don't think it's really smart for Adesanya to grapple. If you're grappling early and you're usually a striker and your game is built to defend takedowns, right? And to stay on the feet, if you try to do something you're not used to, that you're not comfortable with, you're going to expend more energy because, again, you don't necessarily have the skill to get it done to be successful at it. So you have to make up with it with just grit and pure effort. And if Adesanya or Alex Pereira exerts a lot of effort into the grappling offensive game, I think that that's going to hurt them. I think that they're going to gas themselves out a bit. And I don't want to see Alex Pereira wrestle. And I think it would be a big mistake. Unless he can get an easy takedown on Adesanya, I think that would be a mistake. I think you should just stay on the feet, stay calm, fight your fight, eventually pressure Adesanya up against the fence and do your work there. So anyway, guys, that is my prediction. Alex Pereira, third round KO off of a clinch. And what did you guys think of this video? Let me know. I want to know if you disagreed with any of my takes. How do you think this fight is going to play out? Do any of you think that Isreal Adesanya is going to win? If so, let me know how in the comments. Until next time.
Damn, no wonder you can't put on any size. You can't even get past the first couple bites of that meal. You keep eating all that dog shit, that broiled chicken. I'm gonna show you how to spice it up in the kitchen.
We're rocking with butter chicken. This ought to put on some mass. We're rocking with some ginger garlic paste, red chili pepper, salt. And we're gonna mix that up, toss it on a pan with some ghee, stir that up, and right before it's done, put it aside. We're gonna use the same pan, some tomatoes, grass-fed butter, onions, right? Stir that up, let it simmer. We're gonna add some brown sugar, garam masala powder, a handful of cashews, and a little more red chili powder. Blend that shit up in a blender. We're gonna put some more butter on the pan. Pour that blended sauce up, add some heavy cream, put the chicken back in, stir that up, and you got yourself one of the most gorgeous, delicious meals you could ever imagine. This will put on some size. For more meals like this, guys, check out my Real Food Cookbook.